Angel Reese stepped onto the court with her usual confidence, but what unfolded was nothing short of a disaster. From reckless turnovers to missed layups and unnecessary roughness, she put on a performance that had everyone shaking their heads. Meanwhile, Napheesa Collier stayed locked in, delivering a masterclass in composure and clutch plays. If you're looking for a breakdown of how trash talk meets reality, you're in the right place. But before further proceeding in video, if you're new to the channel, please support by hit that subscribe button for more updates.
Angel Reese did things last night I'm not sure we've ever seen on a basketball court. I was like, is this real? Did this happen? The Lunar Owls crushed the Rose BC, and Angel, well, she did some rather interesting things on the court. And Napheesa Collier, well, look now, one thing we could say, they are not afraid of Angel Reese and the Rose
Angel
BC.
Reese just had one of the most disastrous performances of her career. And it wasn't just about the numbers, it was about the complete unraveling of her game in real time. From reckless play to poor decision-making, it was the kind of performance that had fans, analysts, and even her own teammates shaking their heads. Instead of stepping up under the bright lights, Reese fell apart, turning what should have been a competitive game into an absolute train wreck. The confidence, the attitude, the energy, it all vanished as frustration took over, leaving her looking more lost than dominant.
Angel Reese looks like a very dirty move under the basket.
Spot draws two, sling it, Reese!
But if you thought Reese's night couldn't get any worse, Napheesa Collier was there to make sure it did. Collier, who had clearly had enough of Reese's on-court antics, decided to put on a clinic on how to completely shut down a trash talker. It was a masterclass in mental toughness, discipline, and pure skill. While Reese tried to rattle her with physicality and intimidation, Collier stayed locked in, delivering the kind of performance that speaks louder than words. It wasn't just about winning, it was about making a statement, and by the end of the night, there was no doubt about who got the last laugh.
Angel was 8 for 16 for 17 points, 10 boards last night, 7 damn turnovers. Napheesa Collier right here, 7 of 16. She had 16 points, 9 rebounds, but she had the most important thing, the game winner last night.
Reese's downfall wasn't just about turnovers, it was about sheer overconfidence crashing headfirst into reality. She jacked up wild, ill-advised shots that didn't just miss, they clanked off the rim like bricks. And when she wasn't struggling offensively, she was desperately trying to assert herself physically, resorting to shoving, body checking, and unnecessary roughness, in an attempt to get inside Collier's head. But Collier wasn't fazed for a second. Instead of getting rattled, she stayed composed and let her game do the talking. In the end, Reese wasn't the one controlling the narrative, she was the one getting schooled. And by the time the final buzzer sounded, the lesson had been delivered loud and clear.
Angel Reese was on Napheesa Collier, giving her a bunch of frustrating bumps.
Reese entered the game with her usual bravado, acting like she was ready to take over, but from the opening minutes, the reality couldn't have been more different. Instead of focusing on helping her team, she was caught up in theatrics, playing more for the cameras than the scoreboard. The flashy attitude quickly turned into frustration as she kept making reckless plays, throwing away possessions, and getting baited into bad decisions. Her attempts to establish dominance turned into desperation, and rather than stepping up, she spiraled further into one of the worst performances of her career.
Angel Reese rebounded her own pass. I saw this and was like, this can't be real. Angel Reese thought she was playing dodgeball out there.
Now, let's talk numbers because, honestly, they tell the full story. Reese coughed up the ball a staggering 7 times, yes, 7 brutal turnovers, and these weren't just simple errors. They were some of the most head-scratching mistakes you'll ever see at the professional level. At one point, she literally launched a pass straight into the backboard, rebounded it herself like she was playing a game of hot potato, and stood there completely bewildered. It was the kind of sequence that goes viral for all the wrong reasons, and you could see the frustration all over her face. The more she tried to force things, the worse it got, making it clear that this was just not her night.
I mean, Angel Reese is out there looking like a UFC fighter.
If you're a hoops fan, if you're a basketball fan, and you watch this, I don't give a shit if you are an Angel Reese fan. You can't tell me this is not egregious.
They're doing everything they have to do to sell this league.
When Angel Reese tried to rattle her, Collier did what true pros do. She stayed locked in, focused on the game, and let her skills do the talking. Every time Reese got physical, Collier responded the best way possible by lighting up the scoreboard. Reese was out there looking more like an MMA fighter than a basketball player, And if you're a true hoops fan, you can't deny how ridiculous it got. Desperate to make an impact, Reese pulled off one of the clumsiest defensive plays of the game, completely losing her footing and flopping to the floor like an overdramatic actor in a low-budget film. The best part, the refs weren't buying it. No whistle, no foul, just an embarrassing moment that had fans rolling their eyes. Let's be real, Reese thrives on attention, but when it comes to skill, the gaps are glaring. Instead of proving herself on the court, she's more focused on social media, branding deals, and everything but basketball. Her flop immediately became meme material, with fans pointing out that for all her talk about being a tough, physical player, she sure went down easy when it suited her. Meanwhile, Collier kept her cool, letting her game do the talking. While Reese was busy making headlines for all the wrong reasons, Collier was stacking up points and proving why she's one of the best. Every time Reese tried to get in her head, Collier responded with pure basketball dominance. And just when you thought Reese's night couldn't get any worse, she sealed her own fate with a panic turnover, throwing the ball straight into the hands of an opponent in a crucial moment. Another wasted possession, another dose of humiliation. It's becoming clear Reese is more focused on being a social media star than an elite basketball player. Angel Reese's performance was nothing short of a disaster, and fans who've been watching her all season weren't the least bit surprised. While true professionals like Napheesa Collier remain composed, disciplined, and clutch under pressure, Reese once again let her emotions dictate her game. The hype surrounding her has always been loud, but when it came down to proving herself on the court, she fell apart in spectacular fashion. This wasn't just another loss, it was an outright exposure of her reckless, undisciplined style of play. Reese has built her brand on trash talk and theatrics, but when it comes time to deliver, the results speak for themselves. She's not in the same conversation as Collier or Caitlin Clark, and this game made that crystal clear. The difference between empty bravado and actual skill was on full display, and Reese walked away with nothing but another humiliating defeat. One clip summed it all up perfectly: fast break, easy layup opportunity, yet Reese fumbles it, attempting a completely unnecessary pass to a trailing teammate instead. Moments later, another blunder, ignoring a wide-open Lexi Hull for an easy shot, only to miss another layup herself. These weren't just bad plays, they were the kind of mistakes that expose a player who lacks fundamental skills and court awareness. But instead of owning up to her poor performance, Reese did what she does best: shift the blame. Rather than take accountability, she pointed fingers at the refs, her teammates, the coaching staff, even the court itself. Everything was to blame except for the one person responsible for the meltdown: herself. It was classic Reese: talk big, play recklessly, and then claim victimhood when things don't go her way. Meanwhile, Collier and the Lunar Owls celebrated a well-earned victory, proving once again that real stars let their game do the talking. Collier didn't need to resort to cheap shots or trash talk, she simply executed, played smart, and when it mattered most, delivered the game-winning shot right in Reese's face. That's the difference between being an actual leader and being a walking headline. To make matters worse, unrivaled, the league Reese was banking on is already struggling. 3 weeks into the season, they can't even sell out an 800-seat studio, and TNT Sports is surely taking notice. The numbers don't lie, her last game barely scraped 80,000 viewers, a pitiful turnout for someone who claims to be the face of the league. Fans are tuning out, and her inability to handle professional-level competition is only making things worse. And of course, the internet had a field day. Social media erupted with memes mocking her 7 turnovers, missed layups, and, of course, her final possession disaster. Some even joked that she was on a mission to break the record for the most embarrassing plays in a single game. The hype train can only run so long without results, and right now, Reese is proving that all the noise surrounding her is just that noise. One viral tweet summed it up: Angel Reese talks like she's Shaq but plays like a YMCA hooper who just learned the rules. Brutal? Maybe. Accurate? Absolutely. Her game is built more on bravado than refined talent, and this latest performance was just more proof of that. Instead of elevating her team, she's becoming a liability. WNBA coaches, analysts, and even her own teammates are starting to see the pattern. Reese's undisciplined approach isn't winning games, isn't earning respect, and isn't securing her future in the league. And then, when things didn't go her way, she pulled the oldest trick in the book, playing the victim card. Ejected from the game for arguing with the refs, she immediately made it about race, claiming she was unfairly targeted. But fans weren't buying it. The backlash was swift and brutal. Instead of owning up to her behavior, she doubled down, further damaging her credibility. Compare that to Napheesa Collier, a true pro who doesn't need theatrics to dominate. While Reese was busy running her mouth, Collier let her game do the talking. She absorbed the trash talk, stayed composed, and delivered where it mattered most on the scoreboard. The difference between the two couldn't have been clearer. One played with maturity and skill, the other with reckless arrogance. One secured the win, the other made excuses. The harsh truth: if Reese doesn't adjust, her career could spiral fast. She's at a crossroads: either she evolves into the star she was marketed to be, or she fades into the background as just another overhyped player who couldn't handle the big leagues. Right now, the choice is hers. That's exactly the message her mom is feeding her, and it explains a lot. How can you grow when the people closest to you refuse to hold you accountable? By the end of the night, the difference was crystal clear. Collier let her game do the talking, while Reese let her emotions take over. This wasn't just a loss for Reese, it was an exposure of her reckless, undisciplined style of play. Will she learn from it? Or is this just another chapter in the saga of Angel Reese getting humbled? Let us know what you think in the comments.